Hello. I have spam pot up right now. Well, I'm spam pot. Everyone else is just playing hot pot like a normal person. But I was trying to do it before I actually started stream. So I'm gonna do that while we talk. I'm just gonna press the spacebar. I decided if we get a couple of coins before stream, that I could actually go and see if we get anything the minute we start stream. See if we can get a plushie up off the rip. So that would be a good vibe to set for the stream. Considering we got one at the end of last stream. Oh, I just remembered. I didn't leave the underground. I opened the game and I was still here, so kind of forgot. But we got a plushie at the end of last stream. I think it was an ancient goldfish. Ancient goldfish? Is that what it's called? I don't even know if that's what it's called. But we got one, which is really good, even though it's not the one I want. But it's a plushie, so I don't care. But if we can try and get one now, when I get the game up, I will get the game up when the game's finished, because I think this might be the last one I play. I got to play like 2 rounds though, so we can at least do 1 round, if not 2 rounds on the prize wheel. Let's see if I can get anything. It would be really nice, but maybe I'm asking for too much. Which also, actually thinking about it, because I didn't play yesterday and I haven't played today yet, I haven't watered my plants. So I don't know what the situation with the apples or the tomatoes are. I have no idea if any of them will have grown. I think the tomatoes are keeping the blueberries watered. So that's nice. Oh, yep, there we go. Let's get the game up because we're going to go and buy at least 2 rounds on the prize wheel. And the game is heavily booked right now with these ghost people. I don't know why. I don't know why it's like this right now. Usually it's fine. And a lot of people like to say that this is like a PC problem. Personally, I don't believe it. No. I refuse to believe it's my PC. This has to be a game problem. There's just... My PC's fine. There's no way this is a PC problem. Everyone here, except like 3 people, is, they're ghosts. I can't even see more than like maybe 5 people. So that's not good. Oh my god, how many does this person have? We might be waiting a long time. Should we go to the next one? Or are they done? They're done. We might have... Oh, we have like 3 goes. Okay. What do I get? Decor. Okay. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's fine. Okay. That's all we got. Okay. Okay. Let's see what I get from this. Oh, it's a cup. That's cute. That's cute. I don't mind that. And then we just got gold. We got lucky coins. Wait. Okay, never mind. We have 2 more things to open. Let's see. Did we get a plushie from this? No, I get a bookshelf. I have 50 of these bookshelves now. I think I could make a library full of those bookshelves at this point. An eggs. I'm thinking of moving the follower goal. Ooh, encoding upload. Why is OBS doing that? Why is OBS having problems with my CPU? That is not fun. I don't like that. Little bit of a concern. Thought that I had, No, it says CPU overloaded, but it's literally on 22. What? I don't know why it's doing that. A little bit concerning, not gonna lie. But I don't know why it would be doing that. Anyway. I'm thinking of moving this down here. As much as I like it up there, I think it's better to be down here now with the PALIA problem. Because if anything's in the chat, if I move this too far down, it'll be a problem. And if I keep this up here, you can't see anything I open. And it's very sad. I'm like, I wish they hadn't put it here. I wish it was just over here. Because, like, everyone puts their cameras on this side, right? Most people, anyway. So why did we put something over here we knew people were going to be, like, covering? So annoying. Let's see how that looks. For now, I think it looks fine. So I think we might be okay. I know. We're going to go home. Because I have stuff in my bag I need to get rid of. But we didn't get a plushie and it's okay. We got 5 eggs. We got 5 eggs, so everything's great, right? Eggs. Like, I need eggs. I've probably got like 50 eggs at home. Like, not even through buying them, but just from like the prize wheel and stuff. So unintentional. But we... Honestly, I'm probably gonna have loads of like eggs and milk and stuff once the animals come into the game. I didn't even think about that. The amount of like ingredients you're gonna have and have nothing to do with them, I hope they let us sell it. Because that would be great. That would be great. I could have just fast traveled. Although we might need that at some point soon. So we'll keep it. We'll keep it. I do wish there was a fast travel board in the underground. I feel like you have everything in the underground but a fast travel board. Unless I am just not looking hard enough. I don't think there is one there. I've never seen one. Let's just say that. I've never seen one. But maybe I'm wrong. You've now been playing the game for like 2 years. You'd think I would know. Yeah, we don't have any plushies to put anywhere. What does this look like? Where's the cup? Yeah, obviously it's just a little cup, but it like... It's a cute cup. I think it... Yeah, okay. We'll vibe with it, it's fine. We got another one of those beds. And we bought a couple of things. And I have 2 mermaids now, so if anyone needs a mermaid, I'm here. I have mermaids. And I don't need any of them. What do we have? We have 2 mermaids. That's like the most valuable thing that I have. So I don't have anything to like trade for though. That's kind of the annoying part of the trading system with it. Like there's nothing that I can even do with it. I just have so many of them now. Oh. We should probably go and do this super quick. If I can, I have like a minute or less. Oh my god, do I do it? I might get them done in time. If I'm lucky. Am I lucky though? That's the question. It's still 14 minutes past. We did it. We watered everything on time. That's so good. Literally by like a second. Oh my god. Let's go. That is a good start to the stream. Who is Froggy Bo? I don't know who that is. But I love the name. I love the name. I don't know who half the people I have as friends are now. I feel like they may be people we added when doing the frog glitch. So I definitely added people as a friend when the frog glitch was a thing. And then we were all in parties and stuff. But I don't know who these people are. It's kind of funny every time they come online, I'm like, who? Who are you? I don't know who you are. Honestly, I think I know about 5 to 10 people on my friends list. Kind of sad. Kind of sad if you think about it. Okay. Well, we have finally got tomatoes and apples on the go. Which is really, really nice. Because, oh, slime potion. Thanks. Definitely needed that. It's just nice to have, like, the things I need to make money with. Like, do we have any more, apples? No, we do not. Okay. How many of these did we put in? 2? That's not a lot. That is not a lot. Oh, 3 in most of them. Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. It'll just take a hot minute, you know? It'll take a hot minute. We did spend a lot of money. I regret spending as much as I did. But I also feel like I wouldn't have much of anything to do if I didn't, you know, spend it. I feel like a lot of things in games like this is revolved around making money. Like the grind for the money and stuff, but sometimes it's fun to have money in games. Sometimes. Sometimes I don't like it. Sometimes I do. Oh, look at that. We have a perfect amount. Yeah, sometimes I do like to have the ability. Why do we have so much hardwood? Oh, we did that the other day, I think. That was why. Let's get rid of some of it. I like the thing of just like actually trying to make money in the game, but I like spending things too. Hello, Toddy. Pretty much all games are about getting some form of currency. Yeah, and I like it, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm like, I like the freedom of having a lot of money and being able to buy anything and do whatever I want. Sometimes, oh, fireworks, we don't want those. Sometimes it's nice to just buy what I want. And then other times, it's just not as fun. Sometimes I actually want to make the money, so. Do we have anything to put in this one? I think we need to go and hunt so we can make some more money. I think that might be what we do. That might be what we do today. And pallium. We need pallium. You can go in there. We need to fix these. And I think that is all I have to sell. It's not a lot. This is what happens. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't play for like a day or two. And you don't do anything productive. You end up like this. But we're probably going to take it to Zeki anyway. There's no point me like trying to sell it in there. There are definitely people that don't like to go to Zeki, and I was one of those people. And then I realized that, honestly, like, going to Zeki makes more sense, right? Going to Zeki to just, like, make it a little bit quicker. Now that we have this sign, it makes it quicker. It didn't make... Oh, God. I know you were coming up, but you scared the crap out of me then.
Hi, Tony.
I think he just came online. I don't know if he'll respond. We shall see. I need to... Oh, we can sell those fireworks maybe too. Get rid of that. There you go. I see you. Where are they? Oh no, we have 2 lots of fireworks. Don't we? No, yeah, we do. Oh, so annoying. Sacrifice the worms. I feel like I need a longer mic arm so you could just talk. Or like get you a little perch. Hang on. Right now. That's clear. I can hear myself horribly. I just turned this noise cancelling off. I could get one that's longer, but I did this one like 2 months ago. I could technically do that. I've got like down here, but technically I don't want to. I don't want to do that. That would be annoying. Oh, you're quite entertaining. You're quite funny. Apparently I'm funny sometimes. This sounds really weird because I'm like echoing in my own ears. I can hear like myself, but in a weird way. Oh yeah, and I think a lot of players thought second made you less money than the storage. Did it? Did it actually? I should know these things. You know, usually it's a streamer that knows things, and I know nothing. I don't remember that though. Even in the alpha, I don't know if that was a thing. I'm trying to make... I just realized I nearly sold those tomatoes. I would have cried. Don't do that. Don't sell the tomatoes. We need to go back home. No, it was the same. Oh, they fought. Oh, I was going to say. I was like, hang on a minute. That was a thing? I don't know. So they thought that it was a thing. I just thought it was like easier. I didn't realize people actually thought that was a thing. Why do we have so many of these? Oh, it was when we were doing the frog stuff with Raz. I bought loads of them. Didn't even need them all. We gotta go home though now. I don't want to carry 6 tomatoes around me for like half an hour. What? I don't want to carry 6 tomatoes with me while I go hunting because it's annoying. They just sat there and if I want a full inventory of something, it's annoying to see. There's some places that was because when you put in the shipping chest, you see the high amount of gold. True. That's fair enough. I get that. Makes sense to me now. Like, you see the number instead of it being like individual. It would be kind of annoying actually when you think about it. I hate the fact that they don't have that feature with this. Like, they should have it with Zeki as well, and they just don't. It's extremely annoying. Although we've said that before. We've said everything sounds very loud now. With this song. The guitar. Oh, mine's not coming. Well, not yet. The supplier hasn't supplied my guitar. So I can't get it on Saturday. It's been a month and now they decide to tell me. I don't know when I get it. You need a mum cam. She only comes in here for like 2 minutes. That would be an investment for practically nothing. I don't know if you can hear that though.
I'll just like
Yeah, don't rest on the chair though.
she's so bossy.
You'll break the chair if you rest on it, trust me. Plus you'll break your arm because it twists. Nice to see you. Pretty much. Oh, that hair looks so pretty. Oh, I need to do my hair actually. I'm gonna go. Bye.
Hi, Tony.
I wondered why she was coming back then. Okay, this is starting to bug me actually. Whenever I do my hair, it changes. You can't even see it because of the thing. Okay. You see this? It's making the hair different, not the like hairband. It's making the whole of the hair different. Bugging me like crazy. Okay. We need to switch it, I think. Let's see if it does it in this stream. Delete. Save. Confirm. Okay, it's okay right now. I don't like the ombre on this hair color at all. It annoys me. In fact, let's go this way and try and get the show notes or something. Yeah, we need like hide and stuff because I want to like have a big collection of it and the meat and stuff to just try and sell extra stuff. No particular reason except for that. I just feel like I had loads of leather to sell and loads of meat to like turn into worms and stuff. And loads of apples to turn into jam and everything. And then the frog thing happened. I didn't need any money until after it. And I've exhausted every single piece of like income that I had. So we have to start again. But we're getting there. My character had the same hairstyle since creation, only the colour has changed. I changed the colour with the last update, I think it was. Maybe not the last update, but like the one before it. Because... Oh wait, maybe we should just use these, because I feel like they're not worth using on anything else. I was using like the more... What's the word? Like the mouseier colour, because it was the only one I could get to match my hair. And then the update came out and there was more like a golden color. Oh, it's changed the front of my hair. You see this? Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I'll ignore it. But they changed the colors and put some new ones in and stuff. So like this one matches my hair more. Not that it matters. My character isn't me. But you know. Sometimes I like them to look like me and sometimes I'm like, no. And I think my, oh god, okay. Oh god. They're so complicated, and for what? Oh my god. My character isn't me, but wow. Your character's really pretty though. I like her character. I think on my like other account, I'll make it look completely different. Like that character we saw like in the at the stables, the hair was so cute, like the pink and the white. I think I want to do something like that. Like my character that I think the only character I have that really looks that different from me as far away as it can be is probably the oh my god, my mind has gone blank. What is the name of it? I don't remember what the name of it is. Uh-oh. I've forgotten the name of the game. That is not good. I can't remember what the name is. It's an Amazon game character. I just can't remember. Amazon game character. Amazon game. Game. Amazon games game. What's it called? Throne of Liberty. That's it. Oh my god. The character in that, I think she's like blue. I think it was like a blue and like paler blue, like a dark blue and a pale blue. Because at Christmas they brought out like a Christmassy kind of skin and a Halloween skin just before that. And I was like, I want to be able to wear a skin all the time. Didn't really like the Christmas one. So I got the Halloween one before it anyway. And I was like, I'm gonna make it look Christmassy even though it's a Halloween skin. So I changed it from like a pinkier color to like a blue color, I think. So it looks kind of like an icy version. But she does not look like me, I don't think. This character's like the closest I probably get unless we're playing The Sims. But yeah, I either really like it to look like me or I like complete opposite. Complete opposite. Which, my problem with games is, I've been looking recently to see if there's anything new that I can try. That's not necessarily new, but like, is new to me. And I'm like, I'm so picky when it comes to games that I want the character to be... Like, I don't like playing with male characters, right? Like, I'm the same in Fortnite. I only use female characters in Fortnite because... Or like, the male characters that are like, not as like butch, if that makes sense. They're like, if they're like very muscular or anything, I'm like, I don't want to play with that character. It's just like, it fills up too much of the screen and I don't like it. And I like the pretty skins, right? So when I'm playing games, if the main character that you play as is literally a male skin, I'm kind of like, I don't want to play the game. And that sounds really bad. I probably missed out on a lot of good games. Like a lot of good games. Just out of pure spite of not wanting to play a game if I can't create a character. And like there are games out there that are female character games where like the character you play is female. But I don't like them either. Because they frustrate me. I'm like, I want them to look a certain way. I have like a story in mind. I'm like, I need to look this way. And if the character's just like not what I want, it puts me off it. When I play female characters, I prefer to look at the female for hours rather than the male. I just think sometimes there's this problem where it's like, for me, the character fills up so much of the screen in an obnoxious way. I'm like, no. No. Like, in Fortnite, there are some good skins, but they're male skins. I'm just like, yeah, I don't want that. Right? They just don't look as good as the female skins. And a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are like that. That game is great. Wait, which game are we talking about? And hello. How's it going? It's going good. How's your day going? But yeah, anyway. I always do female skins. But I do need to try and get over it a little bit because I need to try and play these games I've never played that people are like, you need to play it, it's so good. And I'm like, I don't want to. A lot of games that male characters look naff. They're either like, usually in a lot of games, the female characters are made way too unrealistic, but the male skins are always made to look a kind of... They're both unrealistic in their own way, right? Like the male characters are like insanely like muscular, and then the female skins are just wearing the most insane sort of outfits. I'm just like, we have an in between. We have an in between. I think it'd be kind of funny actually having a male character wear the skimpier female outfits. I know there are people that do that as well. I've seen, there was a guy in New World once that I can't remember what it looks like, but I remember it looking kind of ridiculous. But he was walking around in the most weird outfit for his character. I love when I see people doing that. But in PALIA, honestly, everyone looks great no matter what they're wearing. Gladly, it's not one of those games. Oh god, how is this only, like, picked 3 bows? 3 arrows. Not 3 bows, 3 arrows. Okay, we already have 20 meat. Okay, we have 20 meat. Which means I can get a decent amount pretty quick. And we're gonna make money with this. Definitely make money with this. What do I do aside from streaming? Honestly, except for my uni work, it's just gaming. It's basically no different than when I stream. That is literally like probably one of the only other things. I started reading again though recently. It's just nice. Trying really hard to read every day, but it's difficult when you're a slow reader. I find it so difficult to oh god, I suck at this. I find it really difficult to carry on with reading. Sometimes I get like really annoyed and I'm like, I don't want to read right now. I'm frustrated. I'm reading way too slow. Like there's no such thing as reading slow, but I read so slow that it annoys me sometimes. So it like puts me off it. But I do like it. I do like it. Very, very soon, I will have hopefully finished 2 books in my lifetime. Without being forced to read. Because the funniest thing was, in school, I genuinely, like, had to read. They made you read in English. They had, like, an hour a week where the lesson was just go to the library, pick a book, and read it. I didn't read the book. Now, gladly, like, I think in, like, America, it's like a thing, usually, to read a book and then do a report on it. Luckily, we didn't have to do that. Luckily, I didn't have to do that. All I had to do was read it. And they didn't ask questions. I sat there and looked at that book and didn't read it. Just turned the pages occasionally so she thought I was reading it. I wish I had taken advantage of the free books. Like, we had a library full of books. Like, literally, even like Harry Potter, right? There was a guy in my class, same English class as this guy that read all the Harry Potter books in like a very short space of time. And I just sat there and looked at the book. We're in the same level. Okay, this is GCSE English. Which, for anyone that doesn't know, that's like basically the highest high school level, basically. It's like the level you like finish school with and you do your exams for. Yeah. I sat there in the same class with this guy. He read books and I did not. I mean, I did fail English somehow, slightly. Only slightly. I got it in the end, but you know. I used to pick books with lots of pictures. I used to pick books that looked good. I do judge books by the covers, I'm not gonna lie. I am getting a little bit past that though. I saw a book the other day that seemed interesting. I didn't buy it, but it seemed interesting, but I didn't like the cover. But if I go back and it's still there, I might buy it. I might buy it. But I used to just look at the ones that, if they looked good, I would pick it, but then the teacher just would ask you occasionally what it was about. And I would just memorize what the back of the book said. To like a very short extent. And yeah. I would just sit there and stare at the page. So that was extremely annoying. Okay. Okay, bots be gone because I'm not dealing with that today. Bye bye. Kinda could tell from the get-go, not gonna lie. Man, Twitch is getting difficult. Why is Twitch getting so difficult with these bots? I don't need your artwork. A real artist is not gonna come in my stream and be like, I can make you artwork if we become friends. No. I'm good. If I want a commission, I'll find an artist and I will ask them myself. Oh my god. But yeah, I regret in school not reading the books that I would pick up. Because I could have taken advantage of those free books. Now I have to buy them. Technically, I could just renew my library card. And then just, you know, get the books for free. But I would forget to go to the library and then, like, take the book back. And I don't think that that's a good idea. Plus, like, if I get a book, I want to keep it. I don't want to take it back. I don't think you can buy the books from the library. I don't think you can. I don't think they would let you do that. I don't think they'd let you do that. Like, I used to forget to bring the book back, actually, at school. Which isn't anywhere near as big of a deal as, like, when you forget to bring it back to the local library. Like, I don't want to get fined. I don't want to get fined for getting to bring a book back. I'll just buy them. I buy them very cheap, though. Because, like, TK Maxx, just the best. Like, how can you not? They are so much cheaper from TK Maxx. Like, there was a book that was probably there for like £15. Okay. But they sold it for, I think, like £3.50. Hell yeah. Right? Like, hello? Of course I'm gonna get that. It's a steal. Literally. This person needs arrows. I don't have any. I do have this though. And I have 35 of those. I don't have any standard arrows. I don't think I've made or bought standard arrows in like a year now, at least. There's no reason for me to have them. I am, however, getting rid of these ones. Because I don't need them now. I don't need them. All I need is the fan arrows now. I feel like they just work the best out of all of them. There's no point me having these Elderwood ones. Look at this. I have so many of them. Just get rid of them. No. It was I'm pretty sure a bot. Pretty sure it was a bot. Oh, by the way, I make art. I can make you art for free though. You don't have to pay. If we become friends, I'll make it you for free. What? Hell no. Hell no. That's so fake to me. There's just no way that's a real person. If these people are real people that I ban, then, you know, like, apologies and stuff, but, like, the messages are just like, no way. There's no way. Like, I know how someone would be like, yeah, I'm an artist. Like, do you want me to make, like... I have people come in the chat that are literally, like, streamers themselves, and they, like, make art and stuff, and I'm like... They tell me in a nice way. Not in, like, I'm gonna bombard you with messages about how bad your overlays are and say I can make you them. And then they join my Discord and try promoting it to everyone else. I'm like... Please don't do that. Oh my god. Why does that happen? Okay, well, there is a bridge. There is a bridge. It would make sense to walk up the bridge, wouldn't it? Honestly. Also, I do want to make sure we're doing hot pot today. So I think I'm gonna... we're gonna try and go to the underground every hour. We did it once. Not properly, but, you know. Oh. So, the game just bugged out. That's great. I don't know where the Sherlock just went. It just disappeared before my eyes. Why does that always happen? I'm about as artistic as a flattened roadkill rat. Oh my god. I said this last stream. I think it was. Was it... oh, who was it? It was Cherry Knights. They were saying how, I think it was them that said they were an artist. I was just like, there is no way I could ever be that artistic with stuff like that. I think with like music and stuff, like, yeah, to some extent. With like drawing and stuff, I just suck. I try and do pixel art now and again. Like, I try and reload it every like couple of months. I did download an app for that, but I kind of suck at it. It's the shapes that get me. It's like, I have aphantasia. So like, I don't see things in my mind, right? I can imagine them, but I cannot see them. I can think of something, but I'll never know what it looks like off the top of my head if I don't know what it is already. Right? You could describe something to me, I'd have no idea what you're telling me at all. Like, if I don't know what it is already, I have no clue. No clue. So that sucks. I could possibly draw something if I was looking at something, copying it. It wouldn't look great, but it would look okay. Right? Otherwise, nope. Which is why I find reading so difficult too. I can't imagine what the characters look like. I have no idea what they're describing to me unless I've seen it in a film or a show already. Don't get any art spam from me. Thankfully. Thankfully. Like, I don't mind people that are actually real artists coming in and being like, hey, I make art. Like, do you? You know, like, I'm obviously going to be like, no, I don't. But what do you do? You know? I like that. I like that, you know? I love the Twitch artists that are real artists. Not the ones that are fake bots. Like, how many, like, bots do these people own, right? Do they just have, like, 60 accounts on Twitch that are, like, set up all at once to just spam people's chats with the exact same messages? It's so cruel. It's so cruel. I'm like, hi, how you doing? Oh, you're not real. Great. Okay, now we gotta chase this guy for like 10 minutes. He's up here. Somewhere. No? We lost it. We lost it. We always lose it now. I can't, now that you can't snipe. We need to go do hot pot. Damn it. Oh, and we also need to do the Pixie Blossom thing. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Ugh. Never mind. Never mind. I've seen that one 3 times. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Oh my god. Did you realize when enter a stream and say, if we become friends, I'll give you free stuff? Exactly. Right? They would just like vibe and be whatever. And then he'd be like, I would say like, you know, like, I'd say something that might bring it up. And they'd be like, yeah, I draw or I paint or whatever. And I'd be like, oh, cool. Like, what do you do? And then it would go from there. I'm not gonna come in and be like, my headphones are broken. Can you reply to me in chat? No. I cannot reply to you in chat. Please leave me alone. I'm traumatized. I've been a small streamer for like 7 years. Please leave me alone. It's awful as well because when being a smaller streamer, like you see these messages way too easily. I think the bigger streamers might get them, but they're like easier filtered out. My God. Don't do this to me. Okay. If the bots come in, we ignore them, we ban them, and we get on with anything else. Wait, this one's cute. I buy. Okay. We're gonna go to a table. Are there any tables? There are no tables. I get to pick a table. Nice. Go to this table. I like being able to pick a table. It's a lot nicer than having the one with the bad lighting. I can't play the ones that have bad lighting. I just don't feel like it's not fun. It's not fun. Like, how am I supposed to see the colors right? I think this is a good table. I hope it is now. Well, this is good. This is definitely good. You might get this pretty quick. Might get this pretty quick. It's a strong word. Let's see. No! No! Give me the potato back! Guys, why do I always do this? I want the potato. Like, can I not bring it back? Why is it a rule that the one that I have, I cannot use again? Ridiculous. Now I'm stuck. I could have won. With like one more card, I would have won. I mean, I'm infuriated now. Wait. Right, potato. Oh my God. All I need is a potato. Just a potato. Nope. I'm not gonna get a potato now. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. We don't get a potato now that I did that. Look. That's not a potato. Give me a potato. I'm sorry. If this is the look I have today. Yes, I love it. If this is the look I have today, I love it. Yeah. Tell me how I ended up winning that. I have no idea. I have no idea. Oh my God, again? Okay. I think we can do good. Let's see. All we need is a fish. And like one of these and we're done. This is gonna be a quick game. No. No. Fish? Noodles? No. No. Too wishful. Too wishful. Oh, dumpling. Nope. Oh, wait, we could use this. Yeah, okay. There we go. All we need is a noodle. All we need is the wiggly noodles. I don't know what the difference between the noodles is. I'm not gonna lie. I know one of them's probably udon or something. But I have no idea. I'm gonna do it. I probably shouldn't have done that, but oh well. All I need is that one thing. Do I get it? No. That better have been the good decision. And not a bad one. Please. Wrong decision. Don't make me regret. Don't make me regret. No. We're round 8. Oh my God. I haven't seen the other one come up yet though. So maybe it wasn't exactly a bad decision. Yeah, okay, we lost. Just after I say that. But it's okay, we won the first game. I think I'm the odd one out. I think everyone is purple right now. Okay. This one isn't as good as the other ones, but it's still a good hand. I don't seem to be getting terrible cards today. Usually I get one that's different on every single thing, which just like isn't great. But this is good. See, we have 4 different sets that we could choose from now. Whichever ones we can get first. Probably get rid of the meat. Maybe. Yeah, I think we get rid of this. Or this, because it seems like these are more common. Maybe? Yes. Okay. Okay. We have 1. 2 more cards. I want to see just how many of them I can actually get. Or maybe I should have kept it. No. Oh my god. No. That's not good. Okay. No. I think you get luck. You get luck in 1 round, you're done. You're done for. The luck no longer exists. Never mind, I'm kidding. There we go. Damn it! I'm just jinxing it. I need to be quiet. Okay. I am having some luck. At least I'm getting gold. If not 2 coins, I'm at least getting like 200 gold every run. Which isn't terrible. I do wish that Hot Pot existed at the beginning of the game though. Like the very beginning. Because this would have been really good if you're a new player. Like, if you find out about this early on, you're good. Like, you've got money. It's not the best money, but it's good money when you have nothing. I didn't even make 1,000 in the game for a very long time. Like, if I remember right, it probably took me, like, a couple months of playing to really get, like, a decent amount of money, like, to buy anything. Why are all the bots in my stream today? Oh my god. I'm so sorry for anyone in chat because this is ridiculous. My first spam pot because my look in hot pot is shit. Yeah, I would, but there's not many people that play spam pot. Spam pot. And I don't like, if I call it out, people just don't play. They just kind of like, I don't want to play that. I don't know what that is. We missed one. Found it. Yeah, I would rather play it because you just sit there and press spacebar like continuously for like 10 minutes. Hello DJ, thank you for the look. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a good day. Greetings for 36 degrees in Germany. Oh my god, it's only 17 in the UK right now, at least where I am. It's not been too bad. It's been okay. It's been okay. I'm sweating over here. I would be too. I would be too in 36 degrees. That's insane. Oh my god. Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. That's insane. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. I probably only ever felt heat like that 2 or 3 times in my life, and it's because I wasn't in the country. In this country, I don't think I've ever felt it be that bad. The cat's also hit. Oh no. Oh no. I can't imagine how it would feel being a furry little animal and like, you know, 36 degrees. How do you cool yourself down with that? Oh god. And it's not like with dogs where you can get them like a... Unless your cats do like water. Because I know a lot of cats don't. But with dogs you can kind of like get the little paddle things that just have like the water spouts out of it and it cools them down. But I don't know if cats would like that. I think cats would be like, oh my god, my human is torturing me. What are you doing? Get away. The cat is under a tree chilling, not doing anything. That's like our cats that live on the street. We don't have cats, but we might as well. We might as well. Like, We have this one cat that likes to come to the door a lot in the back garden, and he just sits there and goes like that. He just looks up and stares at me for like 5-10 minutes, and then he's like, okay, now stroke me. Like, please. I'm not just standing here for nothing. I might look like I am, but I'm not your cat, but I'm gonna make it out like I am. They should be annoying, but I love them, you know? Like, they just, like, I wake up in the morning, I look out the window, and there is a cat sunbathing in my garden. It's the funniest thing. They're so cute. So cute. Plus, apparently cats are really smart when it comes to stuff like heat. Apparently, they just know where to go. If they're not in the house, they'll know where to go outside, where the shade is. They just automatically know that. So I think that's really cool. We have a cat that always come over and sleep here as well. Oh my god. We have like 10 on the street. I live on like a, you know, like a dead end. So like, they don't have like anywhere else to go like this way. It's just like, they come towards our garden. Just find it really funny. I'm like, I wake up and every day there's a new cat. There's a new one. We were around the corner the other day and I was like, wait, is that the cat that I keep seeing? He looks kind of raggedy, but in like a very cute way. Like, he looks so cute. He's like, he's not chubby, he's not skinny either, but his fur is just kind of like, I do wonder if he might have like allergies or something, but he's just so cute. He looks like an old teddy bear. A black and white. I don't know what they call them, black and white. It's a black and white cat, but he's like an old teddy bear looking cat. Just like, ugh. I only have 4 here, 2 of mine, 2 neighbours, and 1 in the neighbourhood is known by me, but it doesn't come this way, so it could be 5 at best. Yeah, we have so many. I think there's a house on my street that owns like 6. I think. I don't know whose cats they are. I have no idea, but they think they're mine. Like, I was in the kitchen making food, and the one that likes to sit up and look at me all the time and just like basically beg for pets was just at the door looking at me. And I was like, hi. Like, are you stalking me? And then I went outside to say hi and it just didn't even want me to stroke it. I was like, oh, I see how it is. You don't like me today. They pick and choose. They do pick and choose. I think dogs are a little bit more like, give me attention. Cats are like, I hate you. I love you. I hate you. I love you. Right? Which, like, I get it. Because, like, same. I get it. They're like me. I'm like a cat. I could change within, like, 5 minutes. Like, I'm going to show you all that affection, and they just turn on you and they're like, I don't like you anymore. Oh, no. I should have done the other one. I'd start in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I wonder if that'll probably be... No, we'll have probably another set of ads this stream. I didn't know what time it was. Did not see what time it was. Cats like freedom more than anything else. They're very independent in like a almost like weird way. Like, how do they just like go outside all day and somehow they're fine? You know? But they go outside and then they come home after like a 10-hour shift of being in the wilderness and they're like chilling. Like, what did you do outside all day? Question check. I will do that now. Thank you. But yeah, my favorite thing to watch is the videos of the cats where they put the camera like on them. Like a GoPro kind of thing. And they have these attachments so you can put it on like dogs and cats and stuff. And it shows what they're doing all day. And I think it's the cutest thing. Like the way they like run off is so cute. Like, you see their tiny little paws. Love it. And they just like have conversations with each other for like a solid like 10 minutes and I never know what's going on. My cat's getting mice and birds. That's what they do. Oh my god. I'm a fan of birds. So I can't say like, oh no. That's the problem with me actually. We have a lot of birds, squirrels, foxes. We have deer too sometimes. And then cats. So like, I love the cats, but sometimes they're sat there like they're waiting to prey on another animal. So it's like, I love you, but please get the hell out of my garden right now because I know what you're gonna do. I feed birds as well. We also have foxes and deers. Oh, so similar. It's just a similar thing in a completely different country. Yeah, my mum feeds the birds and the squirrels. She loves the birds and the squirrels. Raccoons? I've never seen a raccoon. I don't know if we have them in England. I don't know if we do. I've never seen them. But trash dog, what do they call them? Trash pandas? Trash pandas. I love it. Trash pandas. I know they're probably not the nicest animal ever, but they're cute, right? Like, they look cute. They would probably, like, rip my face off or something, but they look cute. They eat the same food as cats, since I'm not in a city. Oh, interesting. Interesting. They kind of remind me of cats, though, to be honest. So it's not very surprising. But I think they would be easily satisfied by most things. Ooh. What's a marten? I never heard of that. I can't even think what that would be. Oh, ads have begun. Apologies from the beyond if anyone got ad jail. Long, small things living under roofs. That's really interesting. I've never heard of that. I've got to look that up. What is that? Oh, it's like a ferret. Oh my god, I need one. I know they're probably wild animals, but I need one. They look so cute. Oh my god. Yeah, kind of like a ferret. I love them. They're like a ferret, same family. They look like ferrets and a bear. Like, kind of like a bear. Like, I don't have to describe it. That is so cute. I mean, I could imagine having one of those in the garden. I would be like... I would be obsessed. It would just be my baby at that point. Like, what do you mean? Oh my god. The tiny little paws as well. I love them. I say this about every animal, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just an animal lover. I'm just an animal lover. What can I say? When does this last till? Or yeah, probably like another couple of minutes. They're very shy. Oh my god, maybe I was one in another life. Maybe I was one in another life. They're so cute though. A little bit like foxes though as well then, if they're shy, because the foxes around me are just like, they're adorable. But they're trying to like domesticate themselves, right? Like they're trying to become like a domesticated pet or something. So they're really shy, but they're also like, oh, that's a human. I should go to them. Not attack them, but ask them for food. When did that start? Like, when did that start to become a thing? Right? They truly think that they're supposed to be a pet at this point. They just sit down in the middle of the street and just lay there and sleep. Like, that's not good. Foxes run basically beside you on walkways here sometimes. Yeah. They're like, they don't care that you're a human anymore. Yeah. I think it's crazy. Like, years ago, if I'd have seen a fox years ago, I would have been worried about going near it. That it might have been a little aggressive. Just kind of like, oh, stay away from me. I'm a wild animal. These days, I'm like, no. Nope. Like, I would probably go up to one and pet one. It would be probably a little bit stupid. But they just don't care anymore. And it's kind of sad. Because I feel like they're losing their survival instinct. And it makes me quite sad. But there's always one around here. I think one or two. And they run across past the house. And I'm just like, we have cameras. So I watch them. I watch them. But yeah, they're so cute. Like, they're shy, but they're like an extrovert introvert. That's what they are, an extrovert, but an introvert. Like, yeah, I'd probably just like not interact with you, but I would definitely come into your house and just not destroy your house. Like, I would just sleep. Basically a dog and a cat in one. So you even see badger here, but they're very rare. I think we have badgers in the UK quite commonly. But I've never seen one. I've never seen one. But they're all so adorable. I think I just love all animals at this point. I used to be a little bit cautious with animals, but now I'm just kind of like, if there's an animal, I need it. I've seen loads of badgers. They must be more common by you. I've never seen one. Not that I can recall. Not that I can recall. But the deer we had was the only time we've ever had a deer, I think. So, I be careful with wolves and bears and stuff like that. Oh yeah, we don't get that. We don't get those. Luckily, we don't get those. I think the one that would terrify me the most are moose. Moose are... You don't mess with that. You don't move. You either don't move or you leg it. I don't know what's the right thing to do, but moose? No. No. Terrifying. Terrifying. I've mainly seen them when I lived in Cornwall. Oh, Cornwall. I love to live somewhere like Cornwall. I love to live there. If like there or like Edinburgh or something. You know. Be so pretty. I feel like Cornwall almost doesn't even look like it's part of the UK at all. I finished. Okay, it finishes at 3. I could have sworn this finished at 4, but maybe I was wrong. Yeah, I haven't really seen that many wild animals, honestly. When we had a deer, I was like, whoa. That's not good. Why is that on my street? Why is that on my street? That doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be on the street. It should be in the woods or something. Very scary to think that all these wild animals are just like starting to collect around like residential areas. And it worries me because I know there's people that are not nice people. You're wrong. It's always finished at 3, even when it was part of the Lunar Market. I could have sworn it finished at 4. Although, actually thinking about it, you know the reason why I probably think that? It's probably because it finishes at 4 for me. Because every time I play, I probably play to the last second. But it carries over till 4 AM. That's probably why. That is probably why. Okay. All these are ingredients. And all these are gold. We got nothing. We got nothing from that. Wait. Fireworks! I want to hit the table. I want to smash the desk. Honestly, my memory is just terrible that when I say, like, I could have sworn, you can guarantee I was wrong. You can guarantee I was wrong. I just assume. Like, I swear it was different. No. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was definitely always like that. Okay. Let's sell... We don't need that. Let's sell these. I like how you talk about temperature over at your place. Wish it was like that here. Wait, like how it's not that bad right now? Because like right now it's not bad at all. I'm actually somewhat thriving because it's like it's okay weather. And I'm feeling good. Feeling good. I like when I don't feel like I'm melting alive. Okay, we're gonna go back to Bahari maybe. In fact, actually no. I think we'll just stay in Kilmer a little bit. I'm jealous I would trade the 36 degrees. Honestly, like, I would rather it be bad weather than be good weather, right? I'm an autumn girl. I love autumn. I don't like winter too much. I absolutely love Christmas. I'm not a Halloween fan, but I'm an autumn fan. And I'm a Christmas fan, but not a winter fan. So it's very confusing, but I just prefer it when it's not freezing cold, but it's like not boiling hot either. It's just perfect. Like I can go outside with just a cardigan on or like a jumper and be warm enough. I don't want to wear a coat, and I don't want to have to, like, you know, wear shorts or something. Couch chilling days? Yes. We got a plush! Oh my god! Wait, this is my first normal Shernock plush. Like, I've got a, elder one, I think. I think that's the one we got 2 for. Nice to show that. I am so happy with that. Oh my god. That's so exciting. Let's go. I'm so happy with that. Congrats to you. I didn't expect that. But yeah. As I was saying, I personally enjoy just like the weather when you don't have to think about what you're gonna wear. You can just put a jumper on, pair of jeans, a jumper, and just leave the house. You don't have to think about being freezing cold. That's when it's like, that's when it's great. That's my favorite time. Like, I am that person that enjoys watching like seasonal kind of films with like a hot drink and a blanket and stuff like that. That's my vibe. So when it's the perfect temperature, it makes everything feel so much better. Okay, my mind's making me think I'm gonna get more plushies now. Now that it's done it to me once, I'm gonna be like, oh, plushie? No. Oh, plushie? No. Damn it. We got one today, though. That's so good. We tend to get one a lot more frequently now. Like, I never used to really get them, and now we tend to get them almost every stream. So, I have no way of complaining about anything in this stream now. Now that we got one, I can't complain. And if I do complain, then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but we got a cute little Shernock. Shernock or Sirnock? I still call it Shernock, and I don't know why. It's Sirnock, right? I probably irritate people when I say Shernock. That's not how you say it. You're saying it wrong. Yes? Do you hear when I say it? Does it drive you insane? There's no H in it. I know. Okay, it's like Hassian's name. I called him Hassan for a year, knowing damn well how to spell his name. That's just how I read. That's just how I read. But you know what? I don't care. Sirnook, Shernook, tomato, tomato, it's fine. It's the same thing. It doesn't bother me, it's you saying it wrong, not me. Fair enough, fair enough. I just get annoyed when I hear PALIA. PALIA kind of bugs me, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not gonna be like funny with people over it. Like, oh no, you're saying it wrong. Oh, but it bugs me. It bugs me. I'm like, that's not how you say it. But it's fine, because everyone says it differently. And to be honest, I'm Yorkshire, right? I'm from Yorkshire. I can't say anything to anyone about the way they say things. If I fully relax with my accent, you guys would not know what I'm saying. You would not know what I'm saying. PALIA rather than PALIA. Is that what you mean? Like you say it like I do? Because that's the way that the devs say it. Their first tweet on Twitter was literally how to say the name of the game. Because people were asking them like how to say it. And so that's why it frustrates me a little bit when people say it wrong. I'm like, did you not see that tweet? No, Casey, they didn't see the tweet because you were an obsessed PALIA fangirl before the game even came out. That's why. You know what? I'm not even ashamed to admit that. I was very obsessed though. That's why I'm like very aware of it. It was like the minute they announced it, I ran to Twitter and followed them on Twitter and saw the tweet of like, how do you pronounce PALIA correctly? So that's kind of on me. The green onion disappeared in front of me. Then you stopped playing for a while. Well, I didn't stop playing the game. I just stopped streaming it. Because I was streaming on a different account and then I kind of just stopped streaming it, but I would play it a little bit. I didn't play it as much. I never stopped playing though. I never went more than a week without playing. Ever. But I got very frustrated with the bundles. That was where the problem was. So I got on and did nothing. Nothing properly. I got in the game and just did like, oh, let's go farm this thing that I don't need. For no reason. That's what I did. So I basically wasn't playing the game, yeah. I was, but I wasn't. You enjoyed the bundles? That comment just terrified me. Why? How? Did you just get like lucky with them or something? Because let me tell you, it was not easy for me. And I'm about to put myself through it again, but I'm going to try and enjoy it this next time around when I do it. Although I did feel some of the bugs and fish could have been changed. That was where my problem was. Oh. My problem was the rainbow tip butterfly. And I got it somehow. I spent, I think, a good probably 15, 20 hours total trying to get it over a course of a couple of weeks. Because I did the majority of the bundles in 2 weeks. After rage quitting the bundles. Like, I didn't rage quit the game. I just rage quit the bundles. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Left the game that day, came back the next day, never did the bundles for like 3 months. But then when I started doing them again, I did them in 2 weeks. But the rainbow tip butterfly took the majority of that 2 weeks to get. That was the thing that I could not find for the life of me. I don't know why it was so difficult. Seems kind of ridiculous that it would be that hard to find a butterfly. But now, I feel like it's a little bit easier. But this should require multiples of some of the fish rather than the really rare. Yes! Like, honestly, I would have taken like 100 fish over the rare ones. And some people might say that's terrible. But it's not. It just means I need to fish for this thing. To complete this thing, I have to fish a decent amount. But I don't have to lose my sanity while I'm at it. Like, it takes effort, but not like an extended amount of effort to the point that I'm going to go crazy if I have to carry on. That's where the problem was. That's where the problem lay. Oh, it disappeared. It disappeared. Thank you for the look. I appreciate it. I think we carry on. We carry on with this. I think we carry on a little bit. They could have required multiple starred versions. That still would have been easier than some of the yeah, starred versions. That's a good idea. That would have been a lot better. Like, I would have preferred anything other than the rare ones. Anything other than the rare ones would have been where to go. Definitely. I got so frustrated so quick with it all. But like I say, I'm gonna redo it again with a new account, obviously, so I'm gonna experience it again for the first time and just see how it goes. It might not be so difficult the second time round. Like, it's not difficult in a sense. It's just like trying to do it while you have sound mind. Trying to do it with sound mind even. No. Nope. Nope, that doesn't exist. At least not in my my world. I feel like having sanity to do something like that just doesn't work for me. And you didn't need to finish it for anything. Originally, there was no reason to really do it. But I think now, with the game being so far ahead, I think doing them, there is more sort of reason to do it now. It's not a full-blown requirement, but it's definitely worth doing, I would say. I would definitely say it's worth doing. In comparison to before. Before, it was just like, if you finish this bundle, you get this thing. And I'm like, okay, well, if I do it now, I will probably appreciate the fact that I finished it before this update comes out. Because at some point, not right now, right now you only need certain quests finished. You don't have to have the bundles for anything, I don't think. But you will have to finish the bundles, I think, at some point. To be able to actually do a certain storyline or enter a certain place or something. There's just no way that you're never gonna need it. I can see it happening. Where you're gonna need something. You have to unlock a staff. Yeah, but what do we need that for? See, this is why I have to redo it. This is why I have to redo it. But wait, I need to see what plushies we had. Oh, we do have this one. Okay, well, now we have 5. Now we have 5. I think it's to clear the area in Elderwood. You clear that area in Elderwood. Oh! Yeah. Good point. But you don't need it to unlock Elderwood. A lot of people thought it was going to be, if I don't get my bundles finished now, I'm going to be stuck in Killamur and Bahari and not be able to go to Elderwood. But then the Elderwood update came out and they were like, yeah, you don't need to do this thing. You'll be fine. I wish they have told people that. There were a lot of people that rushed through. I just want to see if the flower crown looks nice for this outfit. I just realized. I like. Yeah, there was a lot of people that were like, I need to do the bundles. I need to do the bundles before the update. And the update came out and they were like, you just need to finish this storyline. So that was a little bit annoying. Oh, we need to water my plants. Ow. I just like... Oh my god. Why can I not sneeze like a normal person? I always like nearly break my neck. I had finished everything for Elderwood. Same. But there were a lot of people that hadn't finished stuff yet and they were panicking. I think it was more like people that had been playing for maybe like the last 6 months rather than like since the beginning. And they were panicking and rushing through stuff like I did originally before there was even a reason to. And it ended up in a situation where too many people rushed and stressed about getting stuff done so they could play the new update. And they didn't need to. Not really, like, there were people that just wanted to get into Elderwood. It wasn't really about the quest lines or anything, it was just like, everyone thought the bundles was going to be the thing that locked stuff, you know? So that was kind of funny. That was kind of like, they tricked us. And then, like, not letting us know. Not letting us know that, like, hey, guys, you're probably not going to need anything for this update. You're probably not going to need to do anything. Like, calm down. Like, don't save stuff. Like, okay. Like, so let me know I don't need to, you know, fill up my storage with useless items. Cheers, you know? Let me know where to, like, you know, where to in the future. I'm like, oh, appreciate it. I should have known that a long time ago. I should have known that a long time ago. Okay, I'm still telling you everything. I know, but it was just so frustrating. Like, I was one of those people that got everything done before the update, thinking if I don't get anything finished, if I don't have, like, any, if I have no quests, I'm good. If I have no materials, it's not good. And I stressed. Now, some people might say, well, that's your own fault. And yes, you may be right. You may be right. It probably was my own fault. I don't know. I expected a warning, but I've never played a game like this. That's my reason. I blame it on the fact that I've never played, like, a game with, like, what do you call it? Like an RPG live, is it called a live service game or something? I don't know. A game that has live updates, like it's constantly updating and is like an online game like this. Like, I played FPSs and stuff that have updates very frequently and things, but there's no quests in a sense. MMO, yeah. I guess you just call it an MMO. It's not really like anything else other than that, but I've never played it. I've played MMOs. I've just never played them like MMOs. You know? I've never played them like this. Like, this is the first game I've fully played that is an MMO. Some people might disagree on that, but yeah, it is an MMO technically. That is constantly updating and is still live and has a community of people properly. So I have played them before. I've just never played them like this. Addictively, how we say. I've played MMOs, but never like this with all the restrictions. Really? Is PALIA like completely different to them? Like, the games I played are a lot more, what's the word? What's the word I should use? Violent? Hello! Fancy seeing you here. I just, like, somehow ran straight into you just hyping. Never played one that only has 25 people. It's not 25 per server though, right? It's 25 per area. It's 25 per area, but it's like, I think, what, 80 per server or something. So there's like a certain amount of like 20 or something in like each zone, and that's it. But I've like, I'm gonna go get helium. But yeah, the games I've played, I just sort of like, I've never played them addictively, if that makes any sense. I usually just dilly-dally in MMOs. When you're in area, it says you've added a new server. Well, it does, doesn't it? I don't know what that's about. Because, like, this person... no, actually it doesn't work, does it? They told us that it's like 80 people on the server or something like that. Like, but yet it's only like 25 per area. Each area is on a completely separate server. See, that's what I thought. But then they were like, no, that's wrong. I'm like, okay. I would like some clarification on that, please. I don't know. I do not know. Wait, I'm gonna be a good citizen. Oh, and do this. Even though I'm not calling it out, but I'm gonna do that anyway. But yeah, they did say at one point that it wasn't like 20 people per server. It was just like 20 people per area. But you know what? Whatever works. Whatever works is fine. I don't think this game would run very well with like thousands of people in a server at once. I don't know why. Like, there are games out there at the same level that definitely do work perfectly fine. Oh god. With thousands of people, but yeah. I don't know why. I just feel like PALIA wouldn't be the same. I think it would be very overwhelming, actually, for PALIA to be such a big server game. When I see more than 25 people server when I'm in an area, I won't believe there's more. Yeah. That's valid, though. I've always listened to what they said years ago and like rolled with it and never thought much of it. Never thought much of it, so I don't know. That's on me. That's on me. But yeah, I feel like the other games, maybe the thing that puts me off playing with other people though is that it's more intimidating because there's so many people. So many people online at once that it's like, wait. I've never been down here before. What? There's nothing down here, but like, what is this? Like, what? I didn't know this little bit was down here. Okay. Interesting. But yeah, I feel like the reason why I never play with other people in MMOs is because it's overwhelming to look at. And like, that doesn't make sense to some people. That I would play an MMO but not play with other people. But as an introvert, it's very like, I like the atmosphere of other people. I love playing MMO when there's people everywhere. That's my favorite thing. When I log on to an MMO and there's like thousands of people just all stood around. It makes me happy. I don't know why. And it must tend to be in an area with on it. Nah. I always read NA as in North America. Must tend to be in an area with only a few people unless there's an event in progress. Oh. I've never really thought about it like that. Oh, we completed something. I play WoW solo. I just downloaded WoW again. I said this the other day that I played the free trial for WoW. Because you mentioned it, it made me want to play it. It made me want to play it again. I was like, okay. I did a free trial. I know absolutely nothing about it since I played the free trial. I just forgot everything. But I do remember having fun. And all I did was play the first 20 level free trial. That was it. And the reason I didn't keep playing it was because obviously you got to pay for it. So I downloaded it and I'm going to have a little think on if I actually want to pay for a game every month or not. But I'm a little bit more inclined to play it knowing that if you pay for it and then don't pay for it, that they just don't let you do certain stuff, but you keep all of your stuff saved. That makes me feel okay about maybe playing it and then not playing it when I don't feel like it. But I did download it again. It took 3 hours to download. Took me 3 hours to download. My internet is not great. I'm not gonna lie. Same sub-based games work out cheaper than free-to-play games. True. I've probably spent... Oh my god, that's embarrassing to think of. I just thought about how much I've spent on PALIA. It's nowhere near as bad as Fortnite. Or Valorant, actually. Hello! Cherry! How are you doing? Thank you for the raid. Let me put a little message in. Welcome back. It's nice to see you again. Hope you had a good day. How was stream? Did we play PALIA? Did we play PALIA? Oh, what was I saying? Yeah, we were about to say how much I spent on PALIA, guys. I think it could be at least a good couple hundred, which I don't really have, so I don't know how I've spent that. I'm good in the course I played PALIA. I don't think I followed you yet. I think I followed you from last stream. Let me get on and follow you right now. I don't believe I did. I didn't. I'm a terrible person. There we go. I followed you back. But yeah, you played PALIA. What did you do? What were we doing in PALIA? Were we doing, I'm going to assume probably not weeklies because it's Wednesday. How much do you think you've spent on PALIA? Over 200. That's over 20 months of WoW. Exactly, Tony. I'm stupid. I think we might... It'll not be a game I'll ever play on stream. I won't be playing something like that on stream, in my opinion, but I'm gonna maybe give it a try. I'll update you guys on stream, though. I'll update you guys. Oh, yeah, Cherry, I just remembered as well. How's the heat? How's the heat doing? The UK seems to be the only place not absolutely, like, boiling hot right now. It's okay where I am. But some places in Europe are not having it so good. So hopefully the weather by you isn't terrible. That's why I said some sub-based games are cheaper to play than play. Yeah, free-to-play is very tempting, though, to buy the cosmetics. That's the problem. As much as it's a free game, PALIA is tempting to buy skins. I saw this skin, saw the sunflowers, and bought it. Didn't really think much of it. I just did it, which I could have paid for 2 to 3 months worth of WoW subs with this skin. First day I bought 2 outfits. Do you know I liked PALIA? See, my thing was, obviously I played the alpha for... I could have honestly played the alpha for about 100 hours. So I knew I liked the game. But on the first day, I definitely bought a skin as well. I don't even... It was the antler one. The one with the green antlers. I bought that one on like the first or second day or something of the closed beta. But I also bought a skin during the alpha as well. You didn't get to keep the skin, but you got the money back plus like 500 coins. So like I did it so I could get the extra currency anyway. But I did buy, even though I wasn't sure how the game was going to do. 82 at 27. 27! I'm feeling for you right now. You guys are suffering. It's awful. It's only 17. So it's probably like... What's that? I don't know what that would be. I don't know what that would be. But it's 17 right now. Which is not bad at all. It's perfectly fine. I have a cardigan on. I'm not cold. I'm not hot. I'm just right. If you're going to play, join the EU Lightbringer server. We can pie up now and then. Let me take a picture of that. I might be on it already. I don't know. I do have one character already, though. Do you join different servers for different characters, or is it just like one server per account? I bought the ballerina one. So did I. You could probably guess that I bought that one. Where is it? Where are my skins? I got the frog one. I got this cute jumper one. I got this antler one. I got the ballerina one. I got the Elderwoods update, like, flower one, I guess you could call it. And then this one the other day. It's really bad. It's so cute. It is. I love it. I love it. I'm, like, obsessed. I saw that skin, though, and I was like... I wasn't even streaming that day or even about to play PALIA, but I logged on to PALIA just before leaving the house, I think, just to buy the ballerina skin. Even though I could have bought it any day. I didn't have to buy it in that moment. I could have bought it whenever I wanted. And I was like, no, I need it now. I can't forget to buy it. I need it. You can have 50 characters on one realm. Can you... Okay, but can you do... Can you make characters on different servers? Because I do already have a character. Like, I already have an account and everything, and I played the first 20 levels. I would probably make a new character, though. So if I can, I would probably just, like, think, yeah. I don't know. It kind of depends. I don't even need that. I don't know why I just went and got that, but hey, if it helps someone one day. But you can have... Okay, I'm going to assume Realm is like server then. I know nothing. Just for reference, when it comes to things like WoW, I've played it for the 20 levels. Probably a decent amount of time. Of playtime, not gonna lie. But I don't remember a single thing. I don't remember a single thing. The thing with WoW, though, it makes me sad because I could have played that in high school. Potentially. Or like, I mean, even like, at least RuneScape, but like, I know WoW costs money, so I just don't know if I would have been playing in high school. But I could have been. Potentially. What are they called? Realms, but basically the servers. Okay. So you can have them on different ones then. I will try and make my... If I remember, I'll try and make my new character on that realm. And I'll let you know. But yeah, like, I am... The reason why I like games like WoW, though, is to dilly-dally. That is it. That is all I do. I'm gonna look while I clean. We have family visiting here from 6 to 8 hours away. Oh my god, yes. Go and clean. Don't stick around. Thank you for the look, though. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a good time with your family, though. Hope you have a good day. Oh, helium. More helium. We need way more. I only have 10. Hello? I only have 10 pallium. I'm lacking. I also need to be picking up mushrooms. Mushrooms. We need all the resources. I am lacking on every kind of resource now. And probably essence, actually, now that I think about it. We haven't done an essence run in a long time. CosyKas, let's say for 7... For 4... Saying for 7... 4 days, 7 people. Oh my god. And then 4 of us already live here. I'm nervous. Oh, I hope it all goes well. I hope it all goes well. I would be a little nervous too. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely would be. I hope everything goes smooth though. I know you'll have a good time, so the nerves will fizzle. It'll be okay. Guys. Look what we're doing again. I need to go and do hot pot. We're gonna go and do hot pot. I hope so too. I'll pop up every chat every once in a while. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. And try to as this now need to for that squid tamale quest. Oh. Squid tamale quest. Now, I should know what that is. I don't. I don't know what that is because I don't pay attention to things. Oh my god. Shocker. Oh, stupid. Oh my god. Tony. Why do you watch my stream? Oh my god. Braz, hello. You came in at the right time. Brain is not braining again. Yeah. Do you know what I think it is? I'm gonna blame it on my hair. I got the natural hair out and I'm not reading anything correctly today. I think we can blame it on having not been able to brush my hair. I literally am not allowed to brush my hair when it's natural because it's got like product on it and stuff and it'll just make it go frizzy. So I'm gonna blame it on not being able to brush out the stupidity. Not going to say anything? Okay. You could say something. I won't take offense. I get it all the time. You're no better than my mother. Everyone's just as bad as each other at this point. I just take it. It's fine. But I get to see that bit from mommy else on the joking into her streams. Oh my god. What a traitor. What a traitor. Oh my. No, I'm kidding. Oh my god. Which one do we join? This one. Yeah, I do question why people watch my streams, and I think that I used to be basically like I started streaming in like 2018, just not on Twitch. And then I moved to Xbox and started streaming on Twitch. Then I moved to PC and just continued streaming on Twitch, but I started streaming Fortnite, right? Well, technically I started streaming like other games, but my main like time when I was really streaming for the first time was streaming Fortnite on a different account to this. And I was boring. Like, so boring, I wouldn't watch it. People would tell you to like watch back your own streams and see if you're even remotely entertaining, because if no one is watching you, it's complicated. It's like, are you even entertaining? Do you remotely have a personality? I was so boring. It is insane. I would fall asleep within like the split second of watching my own streams because it was just not entertaining whatsoever. And I'm not gonna lie. I might be like, what's the word? This might sound a little vain, but I laugh at my own streams. I watch back the VODs sometimes until like just to like double check that like things are like the way they should be and stuff like that. And like you're supposed to kind of like watch back your own content to make sure it's obviously not bad. Now I'm not saying I have great streams, but I find myself funny sometimes. I laugh at my own jokes. So I don't know. Comedy value? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. I find myself kind of funny, you know? I never used to. I used to watch back the streams and be like, that's extremely boring content. Why would anyone want to watch that? Now I'm like, oh, you know what? It's not so bad. It's okay. There's a lot of streams where people don't talk. I just pass on them. That's something I've had to work on. I'm a very talkative person, as you can see. But it was never like that on stream. I had problems with talking on stream because I never knew what to say. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Because we all do this. All streamers do it where they run out of something to say and it's like a little awkward pause. And you can probably see it from a viewer standpoint. You probably notice it happen, which I do it. It happens. I come up with the most random topic and just start talking about it. But you guys interact with it and it's great. So like, I just do that now. It just happens as it happens. And it's like, I used to sit there and not say anything for like 10 minutes while I'm playing a game of Fortnite. I wasn't even good at the game. I'm still not. So if I was to stream a game I'm not good at and I'm not entertaining, no one wants to watch that. It's boring, right? Whereas now, I don't have to be good at anything. I can just be stupid. And you guys just like that, so... I don't even say my content, at least that's the way there's plausible denial of my bad streams. Oh my god. The streams are not bad. I don't think anyone that really streams cozy games can say like, oh, their streams are bad. As long as you're interacting with people in your stream, or like interacting even though no one's there, you're fine. No, if they clip it, oh my god. I think that all you've got to do is just talk like no one's watching. That's what I do. Just talk about the most random thing. Like, I get nervous, right? Before I start stream, I'm always nervous. I'm always like, it's fine. Just breathe. Like, it's fine. But I get nervous before I stream. I get nervous during stream. And it's perfectly normal. Like, I'm like, oh god. I don't know what to say now. What do I say now? And sometimes it is awkward, but it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. I feel like I'm better at it now than I ever was. But yeah, my streams were terrible before, and it's really funny because the only person you'll ever see in the stream that probably even watched those Fortnite streams is Jack, that comes in now and again during his like work break. He has been watching me the longest, I would say, which I don't know why. I just don't know why. He watched my streams at the worst, at the lowest. It's so funny. No idea if I talk like there's no one watching, I'd get banned and probably locked up in a padded cell. Do I not sound crazy sometimes though? when I talk about things, like Monday's stream, we talked for like a solid hour about how it feels like we're in a simulation, right? Why is that a conversation I brought up? But it's like, it's a thing that people also agree on. It's a thing where people can have opinions on, and it's a thing where I can make little jokes about and stuff. So if it works, it works. You know? I know some people do actually write things down before they even start stream. And it's like a thing they do as like a plan for the week. They actually write down things where they come up with ideas of what to speak about during all their streams. That's just too much effort for me. I'm not going to do that. But it's a good idea if it's something you like the idea of. It's a good idea. But for me, I'm just like, nah. I'll just see what happens. It's a legitimate conversation. True, it is. I do think it's one of my favorite conversations. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I'm a bit like, oh, this is the thing I could speak about right now, because it's such a good, like, I think everyone can join in the conversation, and it's a good conversation. But it's like, I start stream. I never know what to say. If you see me hesitate, I'm gonna be completely honest. Obviously, I try and start stream at 6, and then when the ads are finished and my countdown finishes, I try and get the face cam up. Sometimes I sit here and I'm like, I gotta click the button. For like 30 seconds. And I don't touch the button. I'm just like, I need to get the stream up. Come on. Do it. You can do it. It's fine. And I don't know what to say before I do it. So I'm like, God, what do I say when I start? And it goes fine every time. And a lot of the time there's no one here when I start the stream. So it's like, why do I even panic? Right? Why am I even panicking? Just do it. But yeah, I've been streaming for like 7 years, and yeah, I still get like scared. Write things down for stream, and I spend half the stream trying to decode what I wrote. Don't talk to me about handwriting. I got a new pen last night. I thought it was the same one I've been using for a while. Because I don't like change my writing pens very often. So I had these pens that were 0.7mm or something like that. And then I went to TK Maxx and I found these pens that I thought were the pens. I was like, they're half price? They're half price. I'm gonna get them. Turns out they weren't the right pens, and they're 0.5mm, so they're a lot thicker. Something like that. They're like thicker. I don't know if I can use them. Because my handwriting now is like worse somehow than it was. So in terms of the like writing stuff down, it doesn't have to be like physically written. I used to use Notion. I say used to. I tried to use it for like this year, and I used it for about 6 months nearly, and then like gave up. Because I'm an unorganized person. I'm organized, unorganizably organized. So I used it for a while, and it was really good, and I was like, wow, this is great. And then I think I just like gave up. Cast on writing or typing, it always give me a headache after a while. In school was terrible because I would change my handwriting every week, and I wouldn't write. I would write a hell of a lot in English. So much that my teacher told me to calm down. I don't need to write that much. But I couldn't get my point across without writing much. So I wrote loads, but I would only write on one side of the paper. So then she got mad at me for that too. She was a great teacher, by the way, but she was just like, you need to stop doing this. You need to stop doing that. And I'm like, why? You know? Why? But writing hurts my hands a lot. I like writing, but it hurts my hands a lot. I have a bone growth on my finger. Sounds so weird when I say these things. I have a bone growth on my finger from writing in my GCSE English class for like 2 years straight. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but on this finger, there's like a bone that sticks out. You can't see it. It like sticks out here on my middle finger. And it literally is like a growth or something from where I press the pen into my hand here so much. And because I'm hypermobile, I hold on to things tighter than I should, because if I don't, they're going to fall on my hand. I damaged the literal shape of my finger for my GCSEs. Why? Someone go back in time and tell me not to do that, please. It's such a silly thing. I use Stream Deck to launch stream so it auto switches to the game screen at the end of the countdown. Ooh. See, I just don't think I could do that. I have like a rule where I try and speak to you guys, like even if there's no one here, like I just try and start the stream off with like, I would say at least 5 minutes, if not up to 15 minutes of just talking with the full screen. So that like I can start the stream off in a more personal way rather than just jumping straight into the game. And if I did that, I would be like not ready for it. And then the camera would be on the screen and I'd be like, I don't know what to say. As my dyslexia, I struggle to put my thoughts down in writing or typing, which gives me a headache. That would give me a headache, to be honest. Like, I struggle with that when I do my assignments. They are not easy. Like, I sit here for hours. I know what I want to do, but physically cannot get them down. Physically cannot get them down. In English, though, at school, it was so much easier for me because I just had so much, like, stuff flowing. The brain was active at that point. Still failed, but the brain was very active. Now, I struggle so much with it, which is why I don't make YouTube videos at the moment, like proper YouTube videos. Like, the script for it and stuff is so difficult to do. It takes so long. Oh. That's Palian for hi, how are you? Did you just type the random letters, Jack? Hello. Hello. Are you on your, oh, you're not on your break. Are you on your way home? It's 5 o'clock. Nearly 5 o'clock. It's not quite 5 o'clock. Did you clock out late? Early even? Did you clock out early? I'm pretty sure that the Palian language is not typable. It is only writable. I finished at 6:30. Oh my god. Oh my god. Praying for you. Praying for you. I think so. They've always spoken in English to me. There is a Palian language, but it's like, isn't it Umbran language, not Palian? Is it the Umbran language? I don't know who all of these people are that keep going online and going offline. I have no idea. I feel terrible. I know no one on my friends list right now. 10:30 till 6:30. I am gone already. I am gone already? Wait, what? Wait, what? What do you mean? You finished at 6:30. Surely you're not done yet. Are you trying to confuse me or something? Oh, you've had enough? Speak in a millennial language. I don't speak Gen Z. I know I am one. Okay. I know I am a Gen Z. But I don't speak the language. Also, I'd start in 2 minutes. Apologies. I'm a millennial now at 22, so shush. No, you are not. I am barely a millennial. I'm like years off being a millennial, but I might as well be one. My brother's literally, I think he's 30 this year, and he's not even classed as a millennial, which is just ridiculous. But in terms of like, when I talk to you sometimes, I don't know what you're saying to me. You literally have to teach me things. I had no idea what the skull emoji meant until you told me about it. I just use the crying and eye laughing one, or I'll just say lol like it. That's what I grew up around. I did not grow up around, oh, that's so funny, I am dying. Where? At least I don't say that's bare confusing. That is a dialect. That's a dialect thing. I can't help that. That's not a millennial thing. That's not a millennial thing. That's just like a Yorkshire thing. That's how everyone at school spoke. I blame them. I don't really say bear. I say that's well confusing. Don't I? I don't really say that's bear confusing. Yeah, I don't really say that. I say well. At least I think I do. Uh-oh, I'm getting called out. Am I getting called out? Ooh, Drew My Valley update. I haven't played the last one yet. Oh, someone was happy about that announcement. Says... I don't even know what that is. Says the part 2 of the DLC is on the 9th of July. I need to play Dreamlight Valley, I think. I'm behind. They just released a Peter Pan update and I haven't played it. What am I doing? Why have I not played that? Although I am very annoyed because they didn't put Wendy in the game. They just put Peter in the game. And I was expecting Wendy. And I'm kind of annoyed about it. Kind of annoyed about it. Why would you want to put Peter in the game? Why would you do that, Disney? In fact, it's not even Disney, it's Games Loft. It's Games Loft. It's your problem. My god, I've just realized how long I've had that game for, actually. Like, I must have... When did the game come out? It came out before PALIA. Wow. So PALIA's been out for like 2 years nearly. So Dreamlight Valley's been out a long time. I took such a long break from Dreamlight Valley that I just haven't done anything. The amount of quests I have is... It's taking a very long time to get through them. And now I have an entire update to go through. And now there's a new update coming out again. Oh no. Not 9 ads. I can't do anything about ads. We hear them, but there's nothing we can do about them. Wait. Oh, there's 2 people. Wait, I didn't get that thing where it times me out. I don't know why not. That's weird. The game can't make its mind up if it wants to like give me a timeout ban or not. Okay, why am I getting Discord notifications for an event that I did not set the notifications up for? Basically asking him to sub at this point. I'm not saying anything. I'm not the kind of person that's gonna be like, you must sub. If I could turn off ads, I actually would. If they gave me the option but said, we will pay you 5% less of your payout, I'd be like, yeah. Right. Do it. Do it, because it's very annoying. It is very annoying. Wait, are you not in ads anymore? Are you out of ad jail? I'm gonna wait till the ads are finished in case, because I don't want to talk to you when if you can't hear me. But yeah, oh my god. Gifted subs only is actually kind of funny. Ads up 8 seconds. I'll take it. I'll take it. Gimme, gimme. I already see what I need. Oh, they stole it. They stole it. It's funny because it's almost been 5 years knowing you've only ever been gifted subs to you and that's it. Has it actually been and you've just like not ever had to pay for one? That's really funny. Oh my god. How? How has it been that long? Every time you've watched my stream and had a sub, it's because someone else has given it to you. Like, privilege of being your favorite. I was just saying about how you're the longest person to ever watch my streams before you came in. Because I was talking about like how I started streaming and stuff, and I don't know if you agree, and I'm gonna give you free range to say it if you do. My streams when we were playing Fortnite were terrible. Compared to this, they were terrible. Said it. I used to watch back on my streams and be like, this is boring. This is awful. And they were good, terrible. What does that mean? What does that mean? To me, they just were like, there was nothing going on. It kind of felt like there was never anything going on and it was just very boring and slow. That's why I feel like they were boring. Like, I used to... I would see videos of people saying, like, watch back your content and see if it's even good, and if you wouldn't enjoy it, no one else would. And I watched it back and realized how dreadful it was, and that I wouldn't want to watch it because I didn't find it good. And then when I started streaming on this account, I watched the VODs back and realized, I'm kind of funny a little bit. Not to be like Vin, but like I actually do laugh at my own VODs now, so... You know? I like the camera quality and playing of Xbox just made it. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. They were like boring kind of streams, but it was probably like a little bit more, I guess it's the nostalgia of it. It was nostalgic to look back on it, but they weren't good. They weren't good. They were terrible. They were okay during like the midst of COVID when we were all there. But oh my. Oh my, were they something. It was like... I wanted to do it so bad, but I just wasn't anywhere near good at it. And I was trying too hard to be good. To be a good streamer. It was like I was trying way too hard. I shook what you're saying, Squint says stupid. I mean, you can go back on the VOD if you want to. I encourage you guys to go back and like clip things. I don't mind at all. I find it kind of funny. And you might give me like a potential video to post on like short form or something. So go do it if you want. Go and do it. Like, this is what I mean though. Like, I feel like we can laugh at stuff now. And I can come up with better conversations and I can keep talking for 3 hours straight. I used to try and stream Fortnite for like 10 hours on update days. But yeah. Who was sat in the bush? I'm not saying it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You can't make me. You can't make me. I don't use language like that anymore. I do IRL. Honestly, I was playing Valorant the other day and it was very much reminiscent of that clip, Jack. Oh my god. Hello, mum's in chat. Joe's here. Yeah, I'm not gonna say the clip. I could post it in chat actually. I could post that in chat. If I can go find that real quick, I would actually probably post that in chat for you guys if you're interested to see what the clip he's referring to is. Because it is kind of funny. But I'm not saying it on stream because I can't say it the same anymore. It doesn't come across the same as it did in the actual clip itself. This one. I found it. Copy link. Yeah, I'm actually going to put it in chat because I think it's a really funny one. About to embarrass myself here. I hope you guys appreciate this. There you go. I hope you guys enjoy it. So ask me why I'm doing this to myself. I don't know why. It was really good day thanks to me reminding Casey about it. Yeah. I blame that on us not playing on Saturday or Sunday though. If we'd have played that weekend, I would have remembered. Don't you worry about it. I would have remembered. I felt terrible though. I did. I felt terrible. I'm so sorry. I used to not even know my mum's birthday in all honesty, so like, can you blame me? Can you blame me? I smell bull. No, I genuinely forgot. So my mum and my brother's birthday are so close to each other that I used to forget as a kid when whose was whose. I had no idea. And for anyone else's birthday, I have no clue. I forget birthdays so badly. Like, I mean, at this point, are we surprised? I literally forget what my own name is when I introduce myself on Twitch. Apparently, I'm called CosyKas. I'm not. Put it in your calendar. Thanks, Mum. I didn't think of that. I definitely thought about it, but like, I just didn't do it. I should probably do it. Wait, is it the 30th of June? Please just tell me, like, straight up. Because if it isn't, I'm gonna feel bad. CosyKas, make that your new brand of phone cases. Oh my god. Cute! Cute, I like it. Yeah, is it the 30th for your birthday? Because if it is, I'll put it on my phone and I won't forget. I'll try not to forget, because if it tells me I still forget, I'm literally, swear to God, I'm like the worst person in the world. But I probably have it in my phone before, actually, now that I think about it. Let's see. Oh, I don't. I thought I might have. Although some of the things in my phone did not sync to my calendar for some reason. I'm putting it in my phone. Every year. Repeat. Every year. I think you should buy me a skin for the inconvenience and damage caused. Imagine. Imagine. Don't admit to that if you forgot. I forgot because... Let me explain this. Let me defend myself, okay? Every time it was his birthday, we'd probably be playing the day before, right? Because, like, at the time you were at college. And you weren't, like, as busy as you are now. But, like, on Saturday we were gonna play. You didn't feel like playing. Fine. Sunday, I didn't feel like playing Fortnite. So we didn't play. I didn't... That's all I have to say. Let's see what the comment was. You tell me when was my birthday. Oh, I went to the toilet. And, like, as I go to the toilet, I walk past my mum's room. I was like, oh, yeah. It was Jack's birthday yesterday, by the way. And she was like, was it? Oh, wait. It was today, actually. I think it was. She's like, oh, my God, was it? Like, oh, should I message him? How do I do that? She was like, how do I message him? I'll say happy birthday to him. I was like, don't do that. You make me look worse. If you say happy birthday and I didn't, I seem like a terrible person. Where I'm not that bad of a person. I just forget things. I just forget things, okay? That's exactly how it went, literally. I was like, don't do that, because then I'm gonna look awful. But you know what I find even funnier now that you're both here? Jack, you never told me she followed you on Instagram. You never once told me my mum followed you. What's up with that? Sorry, I had to go full cam for that one. You never told me about it. She likes my Insta stories and you don't. Because my personal account now, I don't go on it very often. Okay? Stop bullying me. I know who the real fan is. To be fair, when she sees your stories, and I'm going to embarrass you a little bit because you guys are bullying me. Oh, the little ghosty emoji is so cute. But I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. She says to me when you post something on like a story or like a post of like an outfit, she's like, oh, did you see his story? Like, his outfit looks really nice. She likes your outfits all the time. She's always like, oh, his outfit looks nice. Are you guys like, are you guys like friends behind my back? You know? They're like the third friend in the group. I used to try and forget my ex-wife while I was married, but never worked. Wait, what? Wait, what? What did you just say? Oh my god. I just get told to smile on my stories. Why? Wait, who tells you that? Is it who I think it is? I'm not naming names. But is it who I think it is? You were talking about trying to forget things? That's such like a funny one though. I didn't expect someone to say that. Oh my god. Just like fully out with it. I used to try and forget my ex-wife while I was married. Love it. Okay, how many do we need? Oh, we could just put as many in as we want. You guys always come out with like the most like out there thing every time. Like in the last stream, oh my god, you guys. You guys said stuff I didn't expect. Love it. You guys are reckless. Anyway, I have got Jack's birthday in my phone now. I promise. I promise I'll never forget. Although I hate promising because then I always get it. I always forget. I hate promising because I always forget. That's so bad. It's like people say, sure, I had a good time. People also reply the best thing about my marriage was the divorce. Oh my god, love that for you. Love that for you, oh my god. That's great. You guys at least have a good sense of humor. Okay, did we need to do any more of these, really? Okay, maybe we'll go to... What time is it? Okay, it's like 6 a.m. No, it's not. It's 7 a.m. now. Okay. I think if we go to Bahari and we try and do the gold, try and find a little bit of gold. See how that goes. Are these the same drops from a few weeks ago? They are, I believe. I think they end at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So I've said they end today because technically for me, like, one, I'm not going to be live tomorrow. And two, for most people, they won't even get them. Especially if you're not European, you probably won't be, shouldn't be, hopefully, awake to actually get the drops tomorrow. I say hopefully so that, like, you're not awake all night. But yeah, they should be. If you click on the link in my, oh, it should be on the pinned chat. Pinned at the top of the chat. It gives you the link to what the drops are, I think. Hydration. Second one of the stream. Raz was the first one. Wrong time to put that, Mum. I just always spat my water out everywhere. There's no way you just did that at the time I was drinking. Can you imagine if I just did like a spit take at the camera or something with the water? Like, oh my god. Calm down. But yeah, I agree. I agree. It was the best, right? I'm allowed to be in this conversation. I was a part of that. Wasn't me. I haven't redeemed hydrated today. That was yesterday. Wait, who was it? Wait, who was it? Oh, sorry. It was DJ. My bad. My bad. It's usually Raz that does it, though. If it's not Jack, it's you, Raz. So I always think it's you. My bad. It was DJ. It's always one of you, though. It's always a group of you guys. Appreciate you guys for keeping me hydrated, though. You happened before them, right? Yes, but let's not talk about that. I'm saying thank God, right? I'm saying thank God. Oh my god. This chat is supposed to be like somewhat family friendly and you guys are just brutal. I should time you all out. I should time you all out. I don't know what any of these conversations are about. I was gonna say something, but I would have been able to live that down. Yeah, I don't know what you were gonna say, but don't ever say it. Don't ever say it. I don't know what it was, but I don't want to hear it. You guys worry me sometimes. You guys worry me sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, I worry for the people that lurk in the chat a lot. Like, Cherry came in the stream, raided the stream, and then they've gone off to clean, and they're lurking, I believe. I can only imagine. I can only imagine what is being heard in the background right now. I apologize. Only sometimes. Oh my god. Yeah, you guys are brutal. Never mind sometimes. I am lurking. Yeah, you're listening in the background. See? You're hearing these conversations with no context. It's so funny. Wait. I'm gonna start timing you guys out. Jack, I think I need to call Nick 30 up. Now, I could make a joke about that too, but that would be inappropriate as well. Oh my god. I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead. It's like a sale, so it can't be worse than what? Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm terrible off stream, but I try to not be like that on stream because it means more people can watch. But I'm not great off stream at all. My mum can attest to that. I have to admit that since my mum has mentally on it. You have us. Honestly. I feel like everyone around here is great on that sense. I never feel like you guys are not there. If someone needs someone, you guys are always there. I think you've had time out, and that's surprising. I don't think I have, but I believe someone else did when they were in mod. Remember? You know, that person. I'm not naming names because you know. All I'm gonna say is socks and feet. I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead yet again. Oh my god. Only on for a few hours and not every day. I'm sorry. If I could stream more, I would. I would. But if I could be a distraction for a good few hours a couple times a week, I'll try my best. I'll try my best. Oh no, you're actually horrible. Hey, I was gonna make a Nick 30 joke, but I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate. I was gonna make a joke about the family friendly thing, and then I thought about something else in the same sentence. I just gotta say it. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I should hope feet are exactly where the socks are. It's technically the same thing, Raz. It's just that I can't explain it on stream. I don't want to say it on stream because I don't want it to be too obvious if they're here for some reason. I want to hear it now if I can't say mine. No, I can't say that on stream. I could. Okay. I can imply it, but I'm not saying it. I said I was gonna... I was like, should I ring up Nick 30, right? You know, because he's family friendly and stuff, and like, you guys are not being very family friendly, but then I was gonna make a joke that wasn't very family friendly. I'm not saying it properly. I'm actually not saying it. You guys just gotta guess. Come on, spill it. I'm confused. If you don't know who Nick 30 is, you won't have a clue what I'm on about. And if you do, you might still be confused. I'm not gonna... You're crap at jokes. I'm saying should I call Nick 30 up? Because he's family friendly. It's not a joke. You guys are not being family friendly. So like when someone's not family friendly in like Fortnite and stuff, a lot of people are like, they make jokes about Nick 30. My joke was that I should call him up so you guys stop being the way you are. But also just call him up because I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how much that guy works out. But Foster family friendly. Oh my god. Yeah, Jack. Hey, I'm being truthful over here, man. We need supervising. Yeah. I know your type now. He's not even my type, Jack. He's not. But he's just like, he's got personality. I've been watching his streams a lot lately, and his personality is just so, like... family friendly equals not fun and boring. No, he's actually family friendly in a sense, but the amount of innuendos in his stream is just too funny. Crying here, I swear, it's just too funny. Like, honestly, his streams have been making me laugh far too much recently. I couldn't help myself. I didn't know how to say it. But no, he's not even a boring streamer at all. He's actually hilarious sometimes. He just says things that I just think... He says things and he goes... And just ignores what he said. But he knew damn well what he said. You have to have the context of, like, actually knowing who he is to get what's going on at. I'm not the only one that thinks that way too, okay? But we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. We have 30 minutes left of stream. I'm not gonna carry this conversation on. You guys need to behave. I didn't start this. You did. I'm not the one to blame. Oh my god. Bro. Oh, did you want to carry on? Do I need to start talking about Jamie Fraser now? Would that make you happy? Why did the chaos happen as soon as I came in? I mean, Jack. I don't know if you have a middle name, but I think it might be either the word troll or chaos. Why should we behave? It's fun. I'm just kidding. You guys have free reign. I'm not about to ban anyone for anything. That'd be silly, wouldn't it? I'm not gonna time anyone out for real. It would be a joke if I did. It would be kind of funny though. You'll never see it coming if I do it. Trouble, of course. Is it actually? Wait. I don't know. See, I never know when you're trolling. But, that actually fits quite well. Oh my god. Why would that be a troll? I don't know. You just say things sometimes that are so mundane, but are actually a troll that I believe it. And then you just laugh for like 5 minutes straight that I believed it. So now I'm just like, are you trolling or is it actually? Like, as an example, you told me once your mum's name was Jill. And I still don't know if that's true or not. I still don't know if you were joking with that because it's too funny of a joke for you to just randomly say it and not say anything about it afterwards. You just like said, oh yeah, my mum's name's Jill. It took me like 10 minutes. It took me like 10 minutes. Unless we start saying if we can be friends, we give you a free out, then... Wait, okay, the amount of inside jokes on this stream now is just too funny. Like... Someone came in earlier trying to be like a bot. Doing one of those bot things where they're like trying to give me like art and stuff and be like, your overlays suck. Let me make them for you. But they said at the end, oh, I make art. If we become friends, I can give you free stuff. I'll make you free art. And I think they said they made stick figure art. I don't even know what's going on at this point, honestly. They were like, I make stick figure art. If we become friends, I can give you some for free. Sick. That's awesome. Thank you. But we have to become friends first. Nearly same as my middle name. Wait, but Jack, is your mum's name literally Jill? Or is it a full-on joke? I genuinely cannot tell if that is just like a Jack and Jill joke or what. I kind of hope it is a joke. I don't know. That would be way too much of like an accidental like thing. I can do stick figures when I buy my art. See, Raz, I'd buy your art, yes. But do I have to be your friend first? I'm joking. I'm joking. I like to think of us all friends here, right? But the requirement for someone to be like, if we become friends, then I'll give it to you. How do we become friends? You're a bot. You're AI. You're not real. Unless, you know, you're from the future and you are real now. That'd be terrifying. It is. Are you sure it is? Are you sure? I genuinely do not believe a single word that you say these days. I'm like... Jack and Jill. I would have loved to have seen the face of like the nurses when that happened. Like, oh, I'm naming him Jack. Are you sure about that? I bet you don't believe I'm 22. No, you look 22. You've always looked like more mature than you actually are, which I was like, I didn't believe you were as young as you were when you first told me, because you had like, did you have like a, not like a beard, but you know what I mean? Did you have facial hair back then? I don't even remember. I don't know. You could have told me you were in university though, and I would have believed you. In fact, I don't get ID'd anymore. My mum bought alcohol, and I didn't get ID'd when I was with her. Now, in the UK, usually if you look under 25 and the person you're with looks under 25, they kind of ID you for it. Now, I find it rude they didn't ID me. I wasn't even buying it, you know, but they do that. But they didn't even ID my mum. Like, I know I'm 25 now, but can you flatter me a little bit? You know? You just flatter me and be like, do you have ID, please? You know? No. I haven't been ID'd since my, like, I don't buy alcohol now, obviously, but I don't drink anymore. But, like, for nothing. No matter what it is, if I have to be ID'd for it, if I look under 25, they're just like, no. You look 25 now. Deal with it. It's so rude. Like, I know I might look 25, but you don't have to tell me that. I'm still going through puberty now. Oh my... To be honest, I don't think anyone can be classed as an adult until at least 25, because my brain has completely changed in the last, like, 6 to 7 months. Like, since I turned 25, I don't think the same. I don't like it, but I don't think the same anymore. Very sorry for all the girls and called Karen. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think anyone would ever call their kids that anymore. And if they did, it would be kind of cruel to do that. Why would they ID me? Because you don't look over 25! Right? You don't look old enough to have a 25-year-old daughter. Like, that's mad. That's so rude. I can't believe they didn't ID. I've been ID'd. What does that say about how old I am? Really? You've never been ID'd? I feel like... Oh, Sapphire. I don't know. I feel like people just... If they really don't care about their job and they're just, like, not bothered, they don't ID people. I didn't even get ID. Like, I got asked for student ID at 12 years old once. I still don't know if it was, like, a joke to make me feel good. Or if it was genuine. Like, oh, do you have student ID for discount? I'm like, no, I'm 12. I'm in high school. I started last year. If I got asked for ID while buying alcohol, while I have my son with me, I tell them where to shove it. I mean, give up, Civ Tony. Well, this is the thing. I have a little thing that happened when I was younger. We went, I think it was literally the pound shop. We went to the pound shop, I'm pretty sure, and my mum was trying to buy a fly swat. You know the electrical ones? And they literally asked her for ID. They wouldn't let her buy a fly swat without ID. And I've never seen you look so confused in your life. Never seen you look so confused in your life. You were like, hang on a minute, what? High school at 12? In the UK, you go to secondary school, but I call it high school. Some people call it high school. Some people call it secondary school. But there's infant or primary, I think it's called, yeah. And then it's junior school and then high school. So you start high school at 11 and you leave at like 16, I think. It was battery operated. Oh, well, yeah, same thing though. They wouldn't let you buy it without an ID, and I've never found something so funny in my life. It's crazy how different it is. Wait, 18 now? Is it 18? Are you sure? Raz? Are you sure about that? I thought 18 was if you go to a sixth form. You basically stay at the school for like another 2 years and have to wear uniform at college. Why would you want to do that to yourself? I would not. It is 18 now? What, high school? Or is it you have to be in full-time education till you're 18, so you have to go to college? Just education? I was gonna say, if I had to go to high school till I was 18... No. I mean, I stayed in full-time education my entire life at this point, because I've never left. But I'm pretty sure when I was at college, it was either go to college or work part-time or something. You had to work or go to college, but now it's just you have to be in education till you're 18. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I was born in 99. Oh my god. That's insane. I stay in school until you're legally able to drink. Oh. Bruh, I had to go to high school till I was 18. I'm in college now. I can't. Like, between the ages of 16 and 18, so much stuff happened that if I was still in high school, my life would have been so different. But I'm in US, so it's different. Yeah. I think that it's weird, though, because you guys have, like, middle school, which should be, like, junior school to us, but you guys are, like, a year or two different in age per the number of the grade. But I will never understand the names of, like, sophomore and junior and all of that. It's so confusing to me. I'll never be able to do that. But, like, if you're in, like, first grade, I think it's, like, year 3? Or is that something? Let's take a pack. Can't drink till I'm 21. That one I find insane. That you guys can't drink till you're 21, but you can do so many other stuff. And, like, if you go to, like... I don't know if, DJ is still here, I think. I think it's DJ. I think... Isn't Germany, like, 15? When you can drink beer or something like that? A lot of people, when they go to places in Europe, they're like, oh, I can drink. I'm, like, literally not even left high school yet, and I can drink. Like, in public. Not like, oh, my parents bought me alcohol and I'll drink it. But, like, at a pub. I was working 80 to 100 hours a week by the time I was 18. Damn! Grinder. It's confusing here, too. I think it's just... I think it's confusing to anyone that's not just not from that place. I feel like I say something to do with, like, the UK and you'd be like, huh? You say something to do with the US, so I'm just like, I have no idea. It's all very odd, actually. I feel like if we all followed the same system all over the world, it would be so much easier to understand. I'm not going to drink, but I think 21 is smart. By my opinion, your brain isn't fully developed till 25. I agree. Honestly, I actually do agree, because, like I said a minute ago, the minute I turned 25, I definitely didn't feel the same. I definitely did not feel the same. Like, the minute I turned 25, everything changed. I thought about everything so different. I had a sleep routine. I have a what is it? Not a sleep routine. A sleep schedule now. I have an actual sleep schedule where I go to sleep at a reasonable time and wake up at a reasonable time. I never had one of those. I used to stay up until 5 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning now. Like, I don't know how I ever did that. Rude. Oh my god. I am intrigued to see how you are when you get to 25 though, Jack. I wonder if you stop being such a troll. Okay, started a 25-year-old brain. I get the frontal lobe stuff. I find it so interesting. Like, you get to 25 and, like, that part of your brain just slides into place and it's like, you just think so different. Because I didn't believe it until it happened. And I think it happened just before I got to 25. and everything was different. And it might sound crazy to believe, but I think it's true. There's probably science to back it up, right? So, I mean, if people are going to be drinking, they will anyway, so it doesn't matter how much, but still. Yeah, I mean, in the UK, it's very common. Not me, because I didn't drink until I was literally 18 and had a breakdown about drinking for some reason. But a lot of people in the UK drink at very young age. Very young. Maybe they should be evil and raise the legal drinking age by 1 year every year, so countries have done. They're doing that with other stuff though, right? In the UK. Which is like insane if you really think about it. Wait, I've seen this before, right? We found this like a month ago. Yeah, I remember. Oh my god. Gold! Oh my god! I came in here for once and it's actually gold. Yeah, I do feel though like they're raising like the age on, what is it, like smoking or something every year, like by another year, and I think that one's really smart. But I feel like if you did have a drink in it'd be insane, right? I feel like it'd be kind of easier to illegally, like, you know, sell alcohol. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Oh my god, I can't keep up with you guys. Bro, I get called a 12 by my manager because she said the boys don't mature past 12. I'm not gonna lie. I actually love that. I think the thing is, it's seen as though like boys have like a longer time period of when they actually really do mature, I would say. I think the minute they leave high school, they change so much. A lot of boys I knew at school that are obviously not boys anymore, they're men. They were not like they are now. I had a boy in my English class that used to we used to fight all the time. Like, I used to get so annoyed with him and be like, I tell him, the teacher on him all the time just to annoy him because I found it funny, but he grew up to be a nice guy. I was like, how did you become so nice? How did that happen? Like, overnight? Like, hello? Kiss Save Team was a horror movie. We didn't need to elaborate on it. I see the bit where you broke down the entire night. Cabby 100 showed that it was legalization fell through to raise its working age of it. Oh, it didn't? Interesting. Either it's easy, not hard to grow tobacco. Some people legally, so a lot of people find a way. True. They used to do that a lot, actually. If I think about like history and stuff, it was a big thing. It's probably still like you say a thing now, but it was a big business back in the day. Like, it's crazy to think about. Right down after one drink, then the power went out and the light bulb blew away. It didn't just, okay, for reference, the light bulb didn't just blow up. It blew up in my face. I'm talking like here. I was trying to do something with the lamp and like turn it on, and it blew up in my face and shattered all over me, in my hair, in my bed. And after all that, I had a drink. And now I don't even drink alcohol, so that's nuts. It was not a fun situation, is all I'll say. I just was very anxious over it. I was like, I've never drunk in my life, and the idea of it made me so anxious. I just don't know why I didn't just not do it. Like, I could have just not drank, but I was like, I need to. I'm 18. Everyone else does. What horror movie was it? Probably the Barbie movie. Oh my god, don't start talking to me about the Barbie movie. I'll go on and on and on about that film. I was trying to think of one. I don't watch horror films, so I can't even give an actual name. But I I like the Barbie movie. I love that film. I don't care what anyone says. I love Barbie film. I haven't actually watched the like original Barbie films, and I feel like I missed out on that as a kid. I don't know why I did that to myself. You know, one day I think I might watch them. I think I might watch them. Literally, also, I'm gonna look at you and got intrigued by the combo. Okay. Got clean, girl. Got clean. I'm so sorry that we dragged you in. We dragged you into the conversation. Definitely wasn't Barbie. I love that film. I don't think it's not a horror film. I don't think you could link it to that. Nightmare on Elm Street, The Thing. Oh my god. There were no pink sprinkles or sparkles. There might have been on my face, you know, for the glass that shattered in my eye. And for reference, I didn't wear glasses back then when I should have. So I didn't even have glasses on. So I had no eye protection. I had glass almost in my eye. It was in my hair. On my birthday. It's not fun. If you still drunk, me, you on a night out would be joke. Honestly, like, that would, I think wait, did we say that before? I think I was speaking to my mom or something about it. And like, I said like how funny that would be. Like, us drunk would be the most funniest thing. I don't even think we could. Oh, we missed Hot Pot. Let's go home and then go do one lot of Hot Pot. And then that's the stream. But yeah, I think me and you drunk would be the funniest thing ever. I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, I've said that to Jack. Yeah. You feel body armor? I'm not gonna test that. I think I do. I think I do. I need a whole new brain though first. Pretty sure I need a whole new brain before I actually need anything else. I think something I want that's easier, Jack, is I wish we could play Valorant together. Because I don't care how bad the games are, I think it would be the most hilarious thing to hear you on voice chat with people. Because when we played Call of Duty that one time, that was the funniest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And then when we played ranked, it wasn't even ranked, it was arena in Fortnite with those like other people when we did film. You're literally the funniest person when you're like doing voice chat with other people. It's the funniest thing to listen to. On one of those huge little ball things you stand inside. I would get claustrophobic though. I would get claustrophobic. Wait, you play Val, another trigger combo word? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I do. I don't play it all the time. I play it where I play for like a week or two consistently, like all the time, and then I don't play for a month. That's kind of what I do. I only play ranked though, because I'm stupid like that. I suffer. I'm literally the worst. I just played ranked the other day and got my 5 games in, and I'm now Iron 3. I have been Silver 2 before. That's the best I've ever had, but I don't play enough, so I'm always hard stuck. You know what? That does need to happen. I just wish they would make it so you could play with console, because that's the only reason that we can't play. So, you would have a full panic attack? I would. I don't like small space. We have like a bathroom and then like a singular toilet and a sink downstairs. So it's like a little cubby hole situation. I don't like that toilet downstairs. It freaks me out. It's too small. I can't breathe in there. I don't like it. I'm bad played on console and our PC. It's super hard. It's not easy to play, I'm not gonna lie, but sometimes even if I'm having a bad game, I find it laughable. If I just listen to music and vibe, even if the people I'm playing with is bad too, I just don't care. I find it really fun. So that wasn't what I was talking about. Wait, what are we talking about? I got you, Jack. Always have a bad game. Wait, I read 2 people's things at the same time. I got you, Jack. What needs to happen? Yeah, what were we talking about? I'm always having a bad game. I have had games before where we've done overtime for like 20 minutes straight. And we've ended up with like 24 rounds or something. And I have quite literally gotten like 40 kills or something before. And the rest of my team got single digits. And we still lost. So that was fun. I was saying When you invite me to Yorkshire, oh my god. I don't think you would survive very well. When you went to Sheffield, you were like, get me out. Why does everyone call me love? Get over it, alright? That's just how we... It's just how we talk. That's awful. It was very annoying, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you get like 40 kills. I'm not playing this on my own. You get like 40 kills and you're playing with other people and like literally... They don't do anything. And I'm like, I did all this for nothing? You are welcome whenever. Are you sure about that? He might do something. I don't trust him. He might like prank me or something. I almost just don't trust it. Like, I trust you, but I don't trust you. Okay, we cannot get into a game. And I'm sad, so... Do what? I just feel like he would be a prank person. He trolls me so much sometimes that I'm just like, I trust you with my life. I don't trust you to not be trolling. I can come and sit in your stream like your mum does. That would be the fun. That would be the funniest thing. Like, I'll play and you just sit here and talk. Okay, who can we go to? Because if I can't play Hot Pot, I'm sad. I can't play Hot Pot. Maybe we go... Okay, hang on. I'm gonna buy a couple of Seki coins. Only like... Only a couple. Not a lot. Literally like 2. How much do we have? Let me sell this. And this. And this. Okay. We'll buy 3. Okay. Open 1? No. That's disappointing. And that's also kind of annoying because you guys have already, you know, we all have the bookshelf now. We all have the bookshelf. That's so frustrating. Oh my, there's 13 of you in here. I did not know that. Does anyone have any streamers that they would like to raid into? Maybe that are playing PALIA right now? Because I do not know where to send you guys to. Oh, it's me. Let's see if there's anyone below the stream. Ooh, wait. Let me get it up on here actually, because I've like got it up on my phone. And I can't hear anything. Mute. Try not to open up my stream. Oh my god, because that's gonna hurt my ears. Did we have one more to open, I think? Yeah, I don't think there's anyone to raid into that isn't above me. And I would rather try and find someone below so we can go say hi to someone new. Okay, I have an ad, but I'm gonna see if this person is good. And then I'll see you guys in. Let's see. I do have one more to open, I think. Right? Did we? Yeah, we did. Okay, let's open it. Garlic! Oh, we really wanted garlic. That was definitely what we wanted. I don't need garlic. I can buy garlic. I can find garlic. So annoying. Okay. This person's only been alive for 30 minutes. Let me have a look. We love when people have an about me section. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Uh-oh. Okay, I actually don't know if we can rate it to that person. The game seems to have bugged out. Oh no. Okay. I might have to send you guys into someone we already know. I would rather send you guys into someone we don't know, but fortunately, I don't know if I can find anyone. If you guys have anyone before I find someone, I would be down. Can't really means you have to stream forever. Damn it! Let me go back and look. Let me go back and look once more. I do have people that are live right now. I just prefer to send you guys into people. I don't want to send you guys the same people every stream. You ruined it. I'm trying to find someone streaming PALIA right now that isn't like one of the top streamers because I don't really like to do that too much. If I really don't know who to send you guys to, I do, but I'd prefer to send you guys to someone more our size, you know? Oh, I found someone else, maybe. Let's see. They just started stream. Ooh, here we go. I'm saying I liked his red small. Yeah. It just makes me feel a little bit better. Be like, hey, like, small streamer too. Okay. Think. Let me have a little look. Yes. Okay, let's raid this person. Let's see if we can raid. Can we raid? Yes, we can. Okay. I'm gonna close my game out quickly. Before we raid. There we go. Okay. The person I raided yesterday didn't even know what a raid was. Really? That's crazy. Thanks to the stream, she me out. Take care of yourself. Bye, beautiful Joe. Thank you guys for being here, though. I really, really appreciate it. I should be live on Friday at the same time, 3 p.m. BST. Not too sure what we'll be doing yet, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we always do. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your stream. The rest of your stream, guys. Probably a good job of ending stream. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you for being here. I'll see you guys on Friday. Bye.